Hey everybody, really quickly, I just got a question from somebody about have I ever had somebody recover from HIV? And HIV is an antibody, okay? So when you're exposed to AIDS or was exposed to the AIDS, it'll create an antibody and it's called HIV, which means that if you ever got a test for HIV, you would come up positive. Now, whether or not it actually turns into the full-blown AIDS is the difference. No different than when you are testing positive for all these different antibodies based upon the vaccines and your exposure, is whether or not you're going to actually trigger an autoimmune disorder. Because who's to say that lupus, fibromyalgia, and MS and all these different autoimmune disorders were not actually directly correlative to the antibodies that were laying dormant. So you can be HIV positive, but be totally asymptomatic. You can be positive for all these different antibodies and be asymptomatic. But why you would be asymptomatic is because you have kept those at bay. It's not destroying you. But in the matrix, over time, you will then start triggering those antibodies to be some full-blown virus where you are going to have symptoms, whether it be AIDS or leukemia or some crazy cancer or lupus or fibromyalgia or some kind of blood disorder. I mean, you name all these crazy diseases that people are actually coming down with, that has the same concept as HIV versus AIDS. Okay? So if you have AIDS, yeah, I mean, if you have AIDS through jelly juice, you can take that, antibody and bring it back to, or take that virus and turn it into an antibody to where it's asymptomatic, and you repair the damage that was done, and you're taking in nutrition, then you're not going to have it be full-blown AIDS. No different than having, triggering leukemia or triggering lung cancer or triggering, fibromyalgia. Everybody that has has fibromyalgia, they should all compare their titer tests. Okay? Because HIV versus AIDS is no different than looking at your titer test and then looking at your disease that you're currently dealing with today and making a connection. Oh, I have this type of disease, this type of autoimmune disorder, and I'm testing positive for all of these different antibodies. And then you find somebody else that has the same disease as you, and you compare your titer test. And you see what is present, because what is present is directly correlative to your disease that you're dealing with today. So I can't tell you, you can't purge out antibodies. They're there because you were in presence of a pathogen that the body has to fight against. It creates natural killer cells just by the mere fact that you're exposed to it. So that's the innate and the adaptive immune system. The innate immune system is your body, the structure of it. The adaptive is how it adapts to that environment with these mutations. And then also, too, the allowance that you're able to then regenerate based upon the framework of your body. The blueprint of your body is your innate immune system. Okay, so you'll always be HIV positive if you're exposed to the AIDS virus. But whether or not it turns into an AIDS virus to where you're now symptomatic versus asymptomatic is relative to your practices. No different than you testing positive for all of these different pathogens, whether it's the flu or the MMR. We really should be looking at all the different, autoimmune disorders and seeing if the MMR is that common denominator. What are the pathogens or the antibodies most present in all these different autoimmune disorders? But we're not that organized out there because we just discovered all the different titer test type stuff and utilizing them to then create a case against the vaccine industry. So, that's how you want to look at HIV versus AIDS, and then all the different antibodies you test positive for, and then all the different diseases that are out there. Those antibodies on the titer tests are backdoor triggers. Regardless if you've been vaxxed or not, you've been exposed to a vaccinated person, you have those antibodies. Okay? So now whether or not those antibodies will turn into the actual virus is the difference in your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is going to be judge, jury, and executioner. Okay? Your lifestyle is going to be that. So they've created all these things in your body, these what do you call it? Triggers, backdoor triggers, landmines. And if you still practice the holistic and the allopathic world, it's just a matter of time before you trigger that landmine. So that's why you have to understand strategic nutrition and repairing those mutations. Yes, they call it predisposition. Yes. I mean, there's so many, what is it, different words for the same thing? Okay. So, so that's my answer to that question. The reason why I answered that question is because this young lady has been around on my Facebook forever. She's been part of my group. She was part of all of that mess, all of that drama a couple years ago. And so I don't mind answering questions for people who've been around for a while. She may have got my book, maybe not, it doesn't matter, but I've known her for a while. So, so I don't mind doing that. She's already laid the foundation. I know her intentions. Okay, so all right, talk to you later. Bye.